This wasn't a debate. It was a reckoning on national television. And what you're about to hear isn't partisan spin. It's a brutal expose of one of the most devastating wealth grabs in modern American history. Senator Bernie Sanders and Senator Elizabeth Warren didn't just question Trump's Treasury Secretary. They called out a rigged system, and they had the facts to prove it.
Help me out here. My understanding is the Trump administration has, I think, 13 billionaires in office right now, leading government agencies. Is that about right, do you think?
I have no idea, Senator.
I think that's what the number is. Do you think it's a coincidence, given the large number of billionaires in the Trump administration, that this particular piece of legislation would provide $235 billion in tax breaks to the top 0.2% by expanding the exemptions in the estate tax?
Senator, I will tell you that when the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act passed, my tax rate went up.
Well, I don't know your exact situation, but I can tell you. Tell me about how many people do you think are in the top 0.2%?
Sorry?
Number of people in the top 0.2% who would benefit from this particular $235 billion tax break.
Well, I know the top 10% is right. now paying 7%.
That's not the question. My question is, why do you think at a time of unprecedented income and wealth inequality, when people like yourself economically have never, ever had it so good, why do you think it's a good idea to cut Medicaid for low-income and working-class people by $700 billion, to give $235 billion in tax breaks to the very, very, very richest people in this country, perhaps a few hundred families? Please justify that and tell me about that.
Well, Senator, I don't know, but the Democrats had the trifecta, and there was no tax increase or wealth tax on billionaires. You choose.
I'm not talking about a tax.
You chose not to.
Mr. Besson, I am not talking about a wealth tax. Explain. A few hundred of the wealthiest families in this country, $235 billion tax break. Explain to the American people why you think that's a great idea.
I think that this will increase small businesses substantially. That most small businesses, they are...
Has zero to do with, come on, you're smarter than that. This is the top 0.2%. This is not a mom and pop store. These are multi-billionaires, and the savings go to their kids after they pass away. This is nothing more than a gift to billionaires in this country.
Well, sir, that's just not correct, because the top 10% paid a bigger share of taxes after TCJA.
I'm talking about one provision in this. I don't want to argue with you about taxes in general. One provision, few hundred families, $235 billion in tax breaks. You can't justify that because morally it is totally unjustifiable. Let me ask you another question. If you guys want to cut $1 trillion in Medicaid and the Affordable Care Act, the estimate from CBO, I believe, is that over 15 million people lose their health insurance. Yale University and the University of Pennsylvania estimated that when you throw that many low-income and working-class people off of health care, some 50,000 people a year will die. Tell me why you think it's a good idea to give tax breaks to billionaires and allow 50,000 low-income and working-class people to die unnecessarily?
Senator, first of all, that's overstated by 5.1 million. That is not attributed to this bill. Is simply...
It's a combination, that's true.
No, you all had a scheduled expiration of Obamacare subsidies, and you did not extend that when you were in charge. 5.1 million, 1.4 million illegal aliens on Medicaid. All right, and there are work requirements. And our goal is to get more money to children and others.
Really? Your goal is to get more money to children, and working people? Really? Come on. Do you know how many people, and I was surprised to hear this, I don't know if you know it or not, how many people lose their jobs every year, quit, get fired or whatever? Do you have any idea?
Well, there's something called the quits rate, and so when the job market is strong, more people quit.
But yeah, I was surprised that I just researched this. I don't know, do you happen to know?
I don't know the number.
I was surprised. Would it be shocking to you? It was to me. 20 million people leave their jobs a year. Doesn't shock you, right? It's a big labor force, right?
Yep.
So somebody leaves the job, maybe they move, maybe something happens in their lives, right? We have a lot of transition in the labor market, correct?
Maybe they get a better job.
Right, exactly, maybe they do. Or maybe they have to stay home, their wife gets sick, whatever, we don't know. But 20 million people lose their jobs in a given year, leave their jobs in a given year. Are those people lazy? What happens when I leave my job and maybe I have to move to another state to take care of my ill mother, and I desperately need Medicaid? Am I too lazy now to be able to get Medicaid?
I think that's a mischaracterization of the work requirement.
Really? Well, I'm not quite so sure it is. I don't, okay, well, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
I want to ask about the Republican big, beautiful bill, which will knock about 16 million people off their health care coverage and cut programs that keep groceries cheaper for millions of families in order to try to pay for about $4 trillion in tax giveaways that are mostly going to be sucked up by millionaires, billionaires, and wealthy corporations. So, Mr. Besson, Secretary Besson, I'd like to start with a very simple question. Will this bill increase or decrease the deficit?
They're varying scoring on that, Senator
You're the
Warren.
Secretary of the Treasury, so I'm asking you, what is your view? Will this bill increase or decrease the deficit?
It is my view that over the 10-year window, it will decrease.
You know, do you have anybody who agrees with you on this?
Yes, ma'am.
Let me ask my question.
Okay.
Every credible independent expert agrees that Trump and the Republicans' big, beautiful bill would add trillions of dollars to the national debt and would not even come close to paying for itself. The nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office, the Penn-Wharton budget model, and the Yale Budget Lab all agree on this, and they're looking at 10-year windows, thank you. So do the Conservative Tax Foundation and Committee for Responsible Federal Budget, conservative groups. Even Elon Musk and the Wall Street Journal are criticizing the bill for ballooning the national debt. The only people who are saying publicly that it's not going to add to the national debt are you, Donald Trump, the Republicans in Congress. Do you have an independent group that has put forward numbers that disagrees with all of these conservative groups and disagrees with the Wall Street Journal on this?
Well, Senator, interesting to see you aligned with Elon Musk, but if I add...
You're no more shocked than I am.
If we want to take the full congressional budget scoring, they predict, and I don't agree with their methodology, they predict a $2.4 trillion deficit. But
okay, so the answer to the question is yes.
No, but may I finish? They include that, but they've also scored $2.8 trillion in tariff income. So even in Washington, D.C. math,
okay, so,
in Washington, D.C. math, that is a $400 billion surplus.
Okay, so let me make sure I understand. This bill, you admit, will increase the deficit by $2.4 trillion, but you think there will be another bill and another set of agreements that somehow materialize, haven't materialized so far, don't have any statutory authority, but that will make up the difference. So the answer to the original question, will this bill increase or decrease the deficit? I think you just said it will increase. This bill increases the deficit.
No, I want to use all the CBO scoring, and you can't take one without the other. I don't agree with the CBO.
One is the law that we are scoring, the bill that is in front of us. We don't have a tariff bill in front of us to score. Mr. Secretary, let me go on to the second question. You have said that government spending is, quote, out of control. You have also called government spending, quote, unsustainable. In fact, in the name of fiscal responsibility, you're working with the Republicans on this big, beautiful bill to pass the biggest cuts to Medicaid and the Affordable Care Act in American history. So, Mr. Secretary, help me understand here. Why is the national debt so very important that you're trying to kick 16 million people off their health insurance, but increasing the national debt doesn't seem to matter if you're cutting taxes for billionaires and billionaire corporations?
Well, first of all, a huge portion of this goes to family-owned businesses that are pass-through entities that are below that level, Senator, and I am sure you share my goals of Main Street prosperity.
You know, I'm glad to do tax cuts for people of modest means. The question I'm asking is, why does the deficit not matter to you? We're talking about knocking 16 million people off their health care, but it matters it does matter to you if we're knocking people off their health care, but not.
Well, first of all, that figure is overstated by 5.1 million. That is an amount not attributable to provisions in this bill.
So you think it's okay just to knock 10 million people off their health care?
First of all, let's set that straight. Work requirements account for 8 million of CBO's claim number. Again, we're creating an economy that promotes and rewards.
It's clear, Secretary Bassett, that you don't want to answer the question.
No, Senator, I am answering it.
No, you're not.
And what I want is for Medicaid to be used for mothers and children as it was meant, not for 1.4 million illegal aliens, not for able-bodied people.
Medicaid is not used for people who are not documented. Mr. Chairman, I just want to say here, the part that troubles me the most is that the Secretary is deeply worried about the deficit and is willing to knock 16 million, or as he says, merely 11 million people off their health care. Matters so much, but it doesn't matter so much if you're cutting taxes for billionaires. Then it's okay to run up a big deficit. I think that's wrong.
The Trump administration already passed its estate tax cuts, and now we're watching the fallout unfold like a slow-moving disaster. At first glance, estate tax sounds like a niche issue, but don't be fooled. This policy wasn't written for average Americans. It was engineered for a few hundred of the richest families in the country to the tune of $235 billion in tax giveaways. Let's break it down. Instead of using that money to expand health coverage, fund education, or protect social safety nets, the Trump administration handed a massive tax break to families who already own private islands, media empires, and global real estate portfolios. And to pay for it, they didn't just trim the fat, they slashed critical programs that affect real people. Medicaid and ACA subsidies ripped from 16 million Americans, including veterans, seniors, and children. Hospital budgets gutted in rural and low-income areas, forcing closures, layoffs, and care delays. Public health research stalled just as cancer rates, overdoses, and chronic diseases spike across the country. And that's not hypothetical. That's already happening. This is a massive redistribution of wealth upward, one that turns the American dream into a lie for everyone but the ultra-rich. Meanwhile, families in working-class towns are forced to crowdsource medical bills on GoFundMe, lose coverage for prenatal care or cancer screenings, watch their local clinics and mental health services shut down. And the irony? The same GOP leaders who pushed these cuts call themselves fiscally responsible and pro-life. How is it pro-life to let people die without insulin? How is it fiscally responsible to explode the deficit for the Walton family's tax break? Elizabeth Warren didn't hold back. She exposed the estate tax cut for what it really is, a corrupt payoff to mega donors written in fine print, sold with spin, and paid for with human suffering. Even right-wing policy experts admitted it. This law will increase the federal deficit by hundreds of billions, further fuel inequality, and do virtually nothing for the middle class. This isn't trickle-down economics. It's siphon-up economics, and it's rigged by design. And here's what makes it even worse. They knew exactly what they were doing. The numbers were clear. The impact was predictable. They made a cold, calculated choice, and working families lost. This wasn't just about money. It was about values, about whether we want to live in a country that prioritizes hedge funds over healthcare, that rewards dynastic wealth while punishing the poor, that protects billionaires from taxes but won't protect children from hunger. Senator Bernie Sanders said it best. This isn't just bad policy, it's immoral. And the immorality doesn't stop there. While Republicans decry radical spending on food assistance or shelter for domestic violence survivors, they stay silent on tax-free inheritances for the top 0.01%. That's not leadership, that's complicity. This hearing was a wake-up call, and it showed us the truth. In plain language, America doesn't have a budget crisis. We have a priorities crisis. And if this country keeps prioritizing billionaires over basic human dignity, we are headed for a future where democracy serves only the donor class, and everyone else is left to fight for scraps. This isn't just economic policy. It's about who we are as a nation. Do we believe in healthcare as a right? Do we believe billionaires should pay their fair share? Do we believe that human lives matter more than tax loopholes? If you believe this system is broken, don't scroll past us. Share this video, make noise, be part of the reckoning. Subscribe for clear-eyed truth from Capitol Hill, not sanitized headlines. And drop a comment below. Should this estate tax giveaway be repealed? Should billionaires ever pay less than their secretaries? Should healthcare be sacrificed so billionaires can hoard more? This is our moment to speak out before silence becomes complicity.